Paris, Christmas Eve 1994. The symbol that defines the city lights up the winter night. 1,000 miles away in Algeria, the fate of the French capital hangs in the balance. 4 Islamist extremists are preparing to hijack an Air France plane. But this will be a hijacking with a terrible difference. No political demands. No negotiations over hostages. The hijackers are about to vent their fury on France. The plan foreshadows Osama bin Laden's holy war against the West. Seven years before 9/11, the terrorists are planning to fly to Paris and crash the plane with over 200 passengers on board into the heart of the city. "11 a.m. Air France flight 8969 is preparing to take off for Paris. In the cockpit, the co-pilot Jean-Paul Borderie is looking forward to spending Christmas with his family at their vineyard in Bordeaux.
It was one of the rare Christmases I was planning to take off work. So I was looking forward to being with my family for a good meal and tasting a bottle of my own wine."
Zahida Kakachi was going to experience a Parisian Christmas.
That year, I don't really know why, but I particularly wanted to go to midnight mass. I just wanted to see what it was like.
Air steward Christophe Morin was especially anxious to get home.
A few months before that, my brother and sister had both died. So I had asked Air France if it was possible for me not to fly during the actual Christmas celebrations. But they had refused my request. So I went to work on the flight feeling very reluctant, because I had wanted to be with my parents and my family.
Most of the 220 passengers and 12 crew were now settling into their seats.
It was cold, it was grey, it was early in the morning for us, so everything was normal.
But that normality was short-lived. Four armed men came into the cabin and began checking passports.
I said to my cousin, "I don't know what's happening, but something odd is going on."
The guns should have alerted me. The police don't normally board a plane with Kalashnikovs.
By now, one of the men had entered the cockpit.
When the one in the cockpit with us turned around for a moment, I saw something that looked like sticks of dynamite sticking out of his coat pocket. A stick of explosives. This was really weird.
The men now announced who they really were.
احنا جنود الرحمن يا محايلة سمانا ربي جنود الرحمن احنا هما اللي نجاهدوا في الدين هذا ولا غنشوف نضربوكم وين نحبوا.
The hijackers were members of an extremist Islamist group called the GIA, a group notorious for its brutality. They were armed with guns, grenades, and 20 sticks of dynamite. They had only one demand: to take off immediately and fly to Paris.
You feel as if you have stopped breathing, and then you feel a chill as if someone has thrown a glass of iced water over you.
By now, passports had been confiscated, and one passenger, an Algerian policeman, had been singled out.
The terrorists tell him, "You can go out, you can leave."
And he turned to him, saying, "Faster, faster." They really wanted him to move quickly. When they got to the doorway, they disappeared behind a curtain.
One of the hijackers ordered him to kneel. He began to plead for mercy. "Don't kill me. I have a wife. I have a child." By 1994, I'd been reporting international terrorism for over 20 years. The Berlin Wall had been breached. The Cold War was over. Some were even talking about the end of history. But history has no end. In Algeria, a fateful new chapter in the Age of Terror was already unfolding, as militant Islam flexed its muscles, touching even the very young. Radical Islamist parties were already attracting thousands of supporters to huge political rallies. In 1991, this 7-year-old boy, Abdelkader Belhaj, was the young hero of the hour, raised aloft, the true son of his father, a prominent Islamist leader imprisoned by the Algerian government. Little Abdelkader Belhaj was a boy soldier in the Age of Terror, ready to fight in the name of radical Islam. The cause, be it political or religious, Islamic or Republican, often flows through the blood of families and through the veins of history, passed from generation to generation. Now, horrific violence, inspired by the Islamist cause in Algeria, was about to explode over France. By now, the French Prime Minister had called an emergency cabinet meeting in Paris.
As far as we were concerned, an Air France plane was a part of French territory. So, at that point, a dispute arose between the Algerian authorities and ourselves, because we believed it was our responsibility to take action.
On the ground in Algiers, the authorities refused all offers of French military help. The Algerian negotiators were now playing for time, refusing to remove the passenger steps. Inside the plane, the hijackers were in control.
They never said, "Okay, in 30 minutes we're going to blow up the plane." They never expressed things as clearly as that. But we had a feeling that the situation would not be resolved easily, that things would unravel in one direction or another, for better or for worse. We had absolutely no control, and that's really frightening.
Inside the cabin, Islamic law now ruled. The women were ordered to cover their heads with the hijab, the Islamic headscarf.
To begin with, I really didn't want to, and I said, "No, I don't want to. I don't want to wear a headscarf." I said I won't wear it, and it's out of the question. And my cousin, who knows me, turned to me and said, "Zahida, please just put on the headscarf." And at that point I realized this wasn't the time to make a stand.
It was really degrading. to put something on my hair because of a belief, an old-fashioned belief, the ancestral belief, and I dislike it very, very much.
But you did it.
And I did it to be like the other women, to be with them, to be like them, to support them.